From WAMU 88.5 at American University in Washington, welcome to the Politics Hour starring Tom Sherwood. I'm Kojo Nnamdi. Tom Sherwood is our resident analyst. He's a reporter at NBC4 and a columnist for the current newspapers. On to the business at hand. Our guest in studio is Doug Duncan. He is a Democratic candidate for county executive in Montgomery County, Maryland. He held that position from 1994 to 2006. Doug Duncan, welcome. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Kojo and Tom, thank you very much. It's great to be back. It's been a while. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone, and very excited to be back with you.
Well, Tom is happy to have you to beat up on again, but I'll start this time. You held this job for 12 years, from 1994 to 2006. I've been looking over all of the jobs you've held since that time, Vice President for Administration at the University of Maryland and others. You are described by Terrible Turk of the Washington Post as the former hard-charging mayor of Rockville. I've looked at all these jobs, and I've come to the conclusion you're bored. Is that, none of the other jobs, except maybe at the University of Maryland, has had the kind of challenges that you have been used to in your elective offices. Are you bored?
Well, I'm running for county executive because Montgomery County needs stronger leadership. We needed a county executive who's going to provide stronger leadership to get things done in the county, to fight for our interests in Annapolis, and a county executive who's got the right vision for our future. I'm running because I'm concerned about the future of Montgomery County.
A lot has changed since the last time you sought office. 8 years have passed. Why do you think you're the best person to help the county manage those changes?
Because I've got the right vision for the future of this county. I want Montgomery County to be a center of excellence in everything that we do.
Has your vision changed from the one you tried to pursue while you were in office?
No, it's always been that, and we have slipped back in the past 8 years in a number of areas. But we need stronger leadership to get things done. The Silver Spring Transit Center, I think, is the biggest example of the lack of leadership from the current administration, from both of my primary opponents. And we need stronger leadership that's going to fight for our interests in Annapolis. And we are scrambling now to get school construction dollars because my two primary opponents really showed no leadership at all in Annapolis in terms of bringing those dollars back home for our county.
Okay, Tom, have at it.
Well, the transit center, which has been a huge embarrassment. When did that start? When was the planning for that transit center?
We started talking about it back when I was county executive.
But it all was put in place after you were county executive, or was it?
Well,
I guess I'm asking, do you have any hands in the problem with this place?
No, I do not have any hands in the problem with it, and there's been a real lack of leadership of getting this thing fixed. We need to get it fixed and get it open. We're approaching 3 years now that it's overdue, tens of millions of dollars in extra costs for it. We need to get it fixed safely. We need to get it open for the public. I put the funding together with the federal government, turned it over to my successor, and said, build the thing and let's go. And we're still waiting for that.
You had considered maybe running for Congress, and then you supported John Delaney, and he's supporting, the congressman now elected is supporting you for county executive. I do this for every person that comes on who's trying to run for an office or is in office. When you talk about leadership, are you saying that Ike Leggett has not been a leader, has been a failed leader, has been a so-so leader? I want to get beyond what I call ninth grade civics class characterizations that you can lead the county forward, you can bring people together, you can get action in Annapolis. Can you put some meat on those bones?
Well, both my opponents, Ike Leggett, Phil Anders, they've been good public servants over a number of years for this county. But at this time, because of the competitive environment we're in, because of the changes that are taking place in the county and in the region and in the world, we need stronger leadership. We need someone who can stand up, as I said, get these things done, solve our problems, and move on to the next problem.
But when you say
one of the issues
stronger leadership,
well, one of the issues that we've had in Montgomery County, one of the problems we've had is we perfected the phrase paralysis by analysis in Montgomery County. And we are starting to slip back into that, and I think the transit center is a great example of that, you need to study things, you need to analyze them, but you need to make a decision, move on, and solve the problem and then move on to the next challenge in front of you. And we're not seeing that.
Well, a lot has changed in the county. One of the things that's changed in the county is the police union has far less power to bargain over changes in their schedules. The FOP has endorsed you. That was a huge battle in 2012. If you were county executive, would you have challenged the police on that issue? It was voted unanimously by the council to take away some of that power of the union to decide impact bargaining.
That issue went to referendum. The voters said that they agreed with the county council, and I support that decision. I think what was troublesome to me about that whole issue was that my two opponents in the primary decided that it's perfectly okay to use public money to influence voters for a ballot question. So they hired poll workers, they did mailings, they paid for bumper stickers with taxpayer dollars to influence that. We've got a separate public financing debate going on in the county right now, public campaign financing debate going on in the county right now, but there were abuses before that need to be stopped. And I think before we start talking about let's start looking at financing individual candidates, let's stop the abuses that have taken place in the past. We should not be spending taxpayer dollars telling the voters how they should vote on particular issues.
But
it's
on the
not
FOP,
fair.
you wouldn't go back.
Absolutely not. No.
You wouldn't go back to it. Okay.
Can we talk schools? This week, earlier, you made a particular point to blame the two gentlemen you refer to as your two opponents, Ike Leggett and Phil Andrews, for the crowding of county schools and for failing to adequately fund school construction projects. Where is it that you feel they came up short?
In three key areas. And we need Annapolis. We need the state of Maryland to be a bigger partner with us in school construction in a number of other areas. But the three key areas where my two opponents have failed the people of this county, have shown a lack of leadership. One is that they waited until an election year to come up with a plan for what we need to do for school construction and how to get dollars. They waited till the very end of 8 years to say, here's what we need to do. The second thing, and this was particularly troublesome because this occurred in 2007. During the 2007 special session, there was an agreement made between Montgomery County and the governor that as we supported his tax increases, what he was trying to get done in the special session, that Montgomery County would get $55 million the next year for school construction. And lo and behold, when it came time to deliver on that promise, we got $46 million. And instead of screaming like crazy and saying, this is wrong, this is unacceptable, Governor, you have to honor your commitment, they said, well, we're disappointed, but thank you very much for the dollars you gave us. And then the next year, the number dropped dramatically. When a governor promises money, particularly for education in Montgomery County, and that's my top priority in Annapolis, is getting funding for our schools. When a governor makes a promise, you got to hold them to the promise, even if it makes you unpopular in Annapolis. They were not willing to do that. And then the third issue was last session, they missed a golden opportunity to get a lot of money for our schools in terms of school construction because the governor needed votes for the gas tax. There were other things that they were looking to get support on. Baltimore City had a package for a commitment of about $600 million from the state of Maryland for school construction. And you see that every so often. Every so many years in Annapolis, there will be a special package of aid for Baltimore City. And you know what? Baltimore City has tremendous needs. We all understand that.
Yeah, but if you're going to go along with that.
No, but what you do is you say, we understand the needs of Baltimore City, but you know what? Everyone in the state of Maryland has similar needs. Where's the statewide package? That's what Wayne Curry and I did in terms of forcing a debate on operating dollars for our schools. That's what my two opponents should have done. Instead of saying, Baltimore needs help, we're going to support it, and we'll worry about Montgomery County later.
Want to stay with schools for 1 second? Put on your headphones, gentlemen, because that's what Michael in Bethesda wants to talk about. Michael, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Well, thank you. Good afternoon to everyone. My question specifically on this continued topic of public education and financing relates to the maintenance of effort law here in Maryland. I'd be curious as to Mr. Duncan's view as to whether or not this maintenance of effort law requiring that counties maintain a specific level of per pupil funding, whether that's viewed as a good thing or a bad thing for Montgomery County and its public school systems efforts, and then how that view may differ from either of his principal primary opponents.
Doug Duncan.
Yeah, Michael, thank you very much. This is an issue that came up during the last debate that we had. And the maintenance of effort requirement by the state of Maryland it's a good thing, because what you want to do is make sure that as the state increases funding for schools, the local governments aren't supplanting their local dollars with state dollars. So you want to make sure that the counties are committed to a certain level of effort. But what has happened here is when they changed that maintenance effort law, they provided sort of a disincentive for counties to go above the minimum required. And the attitude taken by my two opponents is that it's fiscally irresponsible to spend $1 more than what the minimum requirement is under state law. And I think that's wrong. Schools are the lifeblood of our community. They're the reason that Montgomery County sets itself apart, stands apart from other jurisdictions around it. It's because of the quality of our schools. If you have good schools, you get everything else gets better. You get a better jobs, you get safer neighborhoods, you get a better quality of life. Everything gets better because of that culture we have in the county of supporting our schools. And if we just continue funding at the minimum level required, we're basically on a path to mediocre schools, which is going to lead to a lot of other problems for the county.
Michael, thank you for your call.
The county is changing dramatically, but I want to mention Bill Turk again from the Washington Post.
Terrible Turk.
Say who he is. He says that, I'm just going to read from what he says. He said, "You now say Leggett and the state delegation should have been pushing harder for school construction money last year, even though you were out there at the time saying the gas tax increase was the most critical issue facing the state."
I was working with the Suburban Maryland Transportation Alliance. That was a big issue for us, and I was out there testifying on that. Okay. If I had been county executive, I would have been testifying and come up with a package to create a statewide plan to help fund increases in school construction, not just something for the city of Baltimore. That was a golden opportunity missed by our elected officials. Remember, my two opponents are elected in office now, supposedly looking out for the interests of the county, and they failed us in this one.
And this is not the Bill Turk hour, but I did ask him, because he covers the county for the Post, and he said that you described yourself as a friend of the Purple Line, even though you opposed its current configuration.
I'm the one who popularized the phrase Purple Line and started talking about it many years ago. We needed a subway beltway.
Bill Turk, incidentally.
We needed a subway beltway to connect the suburban job centers. I had thought that the line would be better served going outside the beltway, more towards some of the growth centers. We had that debate in the county. The current alignment is what was selected, and I fully support that alignment.
On to the telephones again, because John in Washington, D.C. has a question about something else you either do or do not support. John, your turn. Hi, John. Are you there? John, you're going to allow Tom Sherwood to take your time? Tom, go ahead, please.
I'll ask a question about speed cameras. There's an effort to limit the number of speed cameras. There's an effort to allow people to sue camera operators. It's John Cardin, I think he's going to introduce the bill in the legislature. Where are you on speed cameras and the use of that for getting county revenue?
Speed cameras need to be looked at. We need to do a total review of that whole program. And I supported speed cameras initially because, to me, it was a safety issue. My worry is that it has now become a revenue issue for the county, and that we're more focused on how many dollars we can bring in than making our streets safer. And that's a real concern of mine. And we've seen the District of Columbia do it. It is a huge revenue generator for the District of Columbia. They are now adding cameras at stop signs, at Don't Block the Box. They're doing all kinds of things.
Pedestrians.
Yeah, all kinds of things. And
but they're not doing it, they say, for revenues.
They are.
Well, that's
they
true.
are taking in a ton of revenue because of it. I want to make sure that the program in Montgomery County is focused on safety and not revenue. And once elected, we will do a review of the full program and see where we need to make changes. The county has not complied with state law as it's put up speed cameras. You certainly need to make sure that you're complying with the law as part of the program. But we need to look at what the real effects have been and whether we need to modify it.
Oh, may I go back to
Sure.
education in the county? Since the mid-2000s, when you were in office, the county has changed dramatically. It's now a majority-minority county, just barely. As you look to lead the county again, what kind of a county do you see with a much larger Hispanic population? How do you lead this whole new, I guess it's been like a 64% increase in the Hispanic Latino population since 2000 in the county. It's changed dramatically. It used to be, we all viewed Montgomery County as rich and white and suburban. And it hasn't been that for some time now. But how do you address what the county is now as opposed to what some people think it is?
Montgomery County is a great county. We are blessed in so many different ways in Montgomery County with a great quality of life. And I was born and raised here. I grew up with my 12 brothers and sisters here, 13 of us. I chose to stay in the county, to stay in Rockville, the town I grew up in, and raise my family there because of the quality of life. And the county has been changing for decades. It's changed since the year I was born. It has changed since the year I was elected mayor of Rockville. Changed since the year I was elected county executive. It has changed. It keeps changing, and I think to me that's a great thing because it makes us more part of the global economy and the global infrastructure that is out there.
It's like a growth of 100,000 or so since 2000, which is a lot of growth. What is the projection for the county to keep growing? Do you have any?
We're over 1 million people now, and we will continue to grow. And our school population is growing by leaps and bounds. I mean, it's tremendous growth in the school population, which is and this we have known for some time has been coming, which is why we should have been focused on getting school construction dollars from the state.
Gotta take a short break. When we come back, we'll be returning to this conversation with Doug Duncan. Of course, this is the final day of our winter membership campaign, so we've got to do a little bit of talking about that. But if you have calls, stay on the line. We will get to your calls. The number is 800-433-8850. If you have questions or comments for Doug Duncan, you can also send us email to kojo@wamu.org. Shoot us a tweet at Kojo Show or go to our website, kojoshow.org. Ask a question or make a comment there. I'm Kojo Nnamdi.
Support for WAMU 88.5 comes from Value Village and Unique Thrift Superstores, accepting donations of gently used clothing, furniture, and household items. Details at valuevillage.com. And from PNC Wealth Management. With over 160 years of experience, their team of financial professionals is committed to helping you achieve your financial goals. Information available from Steve Thormalin, 202-835-5264.
Michelle Martin here of NPR News. Now, you heard this when you were a kid. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. But words do have power. In public radio, words like enrich, inspire, educate, entertain describe our mission. And member-supported also reflects the role you play in making WAMU 88.5 strong. So please consider how much you rely on WAMU and contribute today at 800-248-8850 or online at WAMU.org. Your support sustains WAMU today and in the future.
Producer Michael Martinez joins us in studio on this final day of our winter membership campaign where we're working toward an hourly goal of $17,500. We've been offering a member match of $3,945 so that every dollar you contribute during that member match, we would get $1 in return. You contribute $50, we get $100. Our goal, as I said, $17,500. Michael, how are we doing?
Kojo, we are making huge progress. We've made about $10,000 so far, so we've only got $7,295 to go. The member match is officially over because we've been making such great progress. I kind of feel like we need some kind of music for that when the member match is in play. Like if it was a minor league baseball game or if this was a bad game show, we'd have like really dramatic member match music.
But Tom Sherwood wanted to make his contribution during the member match. Is it now too late for him?
No, we counted that to the member match. And if you'd like to contribute, you can call 800-248-8850 or you can go online at WMU.org.
I'm looking for matching donations to my match.
Exactly. So, well, you got a matching donation to your match, and maybe that's one reason why the member match is over. But there was also a commitment that Tom may have apparently made, Michael Martinez, having to do with music. By the way, the number is 800-248-8850. You can keep calling while we keep talking.
This is true. So in past membership campaigns, we've played around with the idea that if we got an individual contribution of $5,000 or more, Tom would be committed to getting a DC flag tattoo. Apparently that's not enough. Apparently that wasn't a good enough incentive for you all to call. So I was thinking last night, maybe we need to re-engineer this. And it occurred to me that Tom refuses to sing. He even refuses to sing Happy Birthday.
That's the only thing he refuses to sing.
No.
Anyhow, I will continue. So I tweeted out, if we get an individual contribution today of $2,000, Tom will sing Johnny Cash on the air. I thought this would be embarrassing for Tom. He immediately emailed me afterwards with a link to a karaoke version of Ring of Fire. And so perhaps we should think of this another way. We're gonna start playing right now. Maybe Tom will start singing. If we receive a $2,000 donation at 800-248-8850,
he'll definitely
we will make Tom stop. We will allow Tom to stop. We will spare your ears.
No. We're not changing the rules on this.
This is the straight-up karaoke version here.
I know the words. This is a burning ring of fire in this studio, and I have no ability to carry a tune. And thankfully, Johnny Cash is no longer with us. But I do think if people would donate some money, I would sing or I would not sing based on what that donator wants. But there we go. Here comes the song.
No, this is
it's going on right now. Yeah, you can
on.
join in at any point if you want.
But he's not joining in.
I can read.
We're in the
words.
chorus.
I'm only singing once. I'm like a monkey. I got.
Oh, come on, Duncan. Do you sing?
I do.
Do you know the words?
Not the words to this.
You don't know.
Forget
Love is a
All right. Well,
let's
let's get more to the business end of things here, since we
We're in the
messed
middle
with
of the
Tom a
song.
little bit.
That's right.
I'll sing Happy Birthday to you, or Happy Valentine's Day to you.
When I started working on the show back in 2008, it wasn't that long after that Tom became a permanent fixture of our Friday Politics Hour coverage and became the resident analyst here at WAMU. And I remember when I got that news, I thought to myself, how cool is this? Because I've been watching Tom forever as a local DC resident and somebody who grew up here. And the idea of Tom and Kojo being in the same studio every single week was just, it was perfect. And now, after having worked with the two of you on this show for a number of years, I realize that it's not just the fact that you all are bringing experience and integrity to this broadcast every week that makes it special.
Anyway, yes.
Experience for sure. You guys have been around the block a time or two. But it's also because of your willingness to try new things and the fact that you're always looking for the next way to make the show better. And our station revolves on that same kind of energy. People who know that we're only going to be as good as the investment that we're going to put into it. So please call 800-248-8850, WAMU.org.
May I say that when I make a mistake and leave the District of Columbia and go into Montgomery County or Prince George's County or into Virginia,
I think Doug just kicked you under the table.
People, I'll go to
welcome you with open arms.
Well, that's true. But I'll go to the Tasty Diner in Bethesda or something like that, and people hear this weird voice I have, and they turn around and say, "You're on the radio." I listen to you. Well, I'm only on the radio this 1 hour a week, and it's extraordinary to me the number of people, the reach for WAMU, for people who can actually hear me on this program.
But your voice definitely has a certain Johnny Cash quality to it, don't you think so?
It would be great. Maybe we should do this as an organized event.
I'm a big fan of Willie Nelson, but I will sing, and it will be horrendous, but maybe I'll do it in the privacy of my home.
And then, of course, there's also that tattoo thing that he promised
Which
to get.
should still be in play.
My son still has his tattoo, and I would get a match.
800-248-8850. Final words, Michael Martin.
Well, I'll say for the record, before we break, just to take a little bit more time, that as much as Tom is making fun of himself about how much he might not know about Fairfax or how he doesn't go to Montgomery County, when the show is over, maybe even tonight, I'll probably get an email from Tom thinking about stuff that we can be doing for next week. And the energy and enthusiasm that he brings, not just to his coverage of the district, but for the entire region as a whole, is something that we really value and that we need to make sure is a part of the station for a long time to come. We have $4,991 to go. We can do it. 800-248-8850, WAMU.org.
We have about 25 or 30 minutes in which to do it, and we're depending on you. So please make that call now. If you happen to be a regular listener to the Politics Hour. If you happen to be a fan of Tom Sherwood, you like the way he needles our guests on the show, you like the way he wants access, you like the way that he wants transparency, then give us a call, 800-248-8850, or make a contribution online at wamu.org, and thank you.
First Lady of the United States, Martha Washington. First airplane flight by Orville and Wilbur Wright, 1903. And your first contribution to WAMU? Perhaps right now. First-time members are especially important to WAMU because it means you recognize the importance of public radio in your life and your community. Your gift today keeps WAMU strong tomorrow. Contribute now at 800-248-8850 or online at wamu.org. There's nothing like the first time.
Our guest today is Doug Duncan. He is a Democratic candidate for county executive in Montgomery County, Maryland. He held that position from 1994 to 2006. Tom Sherwood is our resident analyst. He's a reporter at NBC4 and a columnist for the current newspapers. You can call us at 800-433-8850. Doug Duncan, Ike Leggett has led
I'm sorry, I just wanted to finish one thing before we broke, and that was the question about the changing population, changing demographics of the county.
Sure.
All the more reason to look at our education spending and find more dollars to help there in terms of the maintenance of effort law. Education's my top priority, always has been, always will be. It is, as I said, the lifeblood. Our schools are the lifeblood of our community. What's happening is that we are getting many more students in who live in poverty and many more students in who don't speak English as their first language. They have needs that are greater than the needs of children coming into our schools in years past. So we need to look at the expenditures for that. We need to look at a way to help find the funds. Dr. Starr, our superintendent's got a plan to address the widening achievement gap in the county. We've got to find a way to help him accomplish that mission. And the other issue that's being debated a lot is...
There's been some question about testing in Montgomery County, too.
I think we've had some good questions about that. I mean, I think that Dr. Starr and a lot of the others are focusing on the right things. But the other thing that's being debated, not just in Maryland, but in New York City and across the country, is pre-K, universal pre-K. And the state of Maryland is starting a program to help bring universal pre-K to the state of Maryland, funded by the state. I think that's something we need to do, particularly with, again, the changing demographics in the county. Kids need to be ready to learn when they enter kindergarten, and they need to be reading at grade level by the third grade. Those are some basic things that we need to be able to do.
Well, I've been promising listeners access, so I'd better give it to them. Here is Barbara in Potomac, Maryland. Barbara, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Well, thank you very much for taking my call. Doug, you spent a lot of time at the beginning of this session talking about needing strong leadership in Montgomery County to do the right thing. I have a question and then a follow-up. Do you believe that doing the right thing in Montgomery County can still protect our natural resources and our environment? And
your follow-up?
And what do you think about full protection for 10 Mile Creek, which is Montgomery County's last pristine creek?
Doug Duncan?
I mean, clearly doing the right thing does mean protecting our environment and doing everything we can. Again, my vision for this county is to be a center of excellence in all of the things that we do, our schools, our services, our county government, our economy, our environment. In terms of 10 Mile Creek, I have put out a statement a while ago that says that we need to make sure, because this is one of the last best watersheds in the county, that we need to preserve it, and that the county council should adopt policies, zoning policies, regulations with the planning board to make sure that no further degradation occurs in 10 Mile Creek.
Have you always opposed 10 Mile Creek development? I can't remember. I'm just asking you. Have you always opposed development?
It's an issue that's come up in the last year recently. Yeah. Actually, we were talking about this. The county jail that we built in Clarksburg is in the 10 Mile Creek watershed. And at the time we did that, there was no discussion of 10 Mile Creek or the watershed or anything like that. So I think we've got a watershed of very high quality. It's one of the last ones in the county. We need to save that. Just as we saved downtown Silver Springs, we saved Glen Echo Park, as we did a lot of other things, we can save 10 Mile Creek.
We got an email from Pete in Silver Spring who says, precisely what are the specific problems with the transit center that more effective leadership would have resolved?
Well, the first one is much better oversight. I think the real problem here is the lack of oversight by the county government. It's a huge project that has been allowed to languish. And if the oversight had been done correctly by the county government, we would not be in the mess that we're in today. And we would have this facility would be open to the public.
Ike Leggett led the country through some pretty lean years, especially after the recession that we're still climbing back from. He has said, however, that part of what injured the county before things went south was that you pushed a plan to make the county grow too fast. How would you respond?
Actually, what he has said is that I left the county broke, which is, I got to say, you just have to laugh when you hear that. He's been going around the county, said it at the debate. He's been going around the county saying that when I left office after 12 years, Montgomery County was broke, and therefore we were in a horrible financial position.
It was not?
No, absolutely not. We were in a horrible financial position even before the recession hit. Well, the facts are that I had 12 years of balanced budgets. I had 12 years of AAA bond ratings. I left the county when I left office, if my memory serves me correctly, with over $300 million worth of reserves, which the county rightfully used to help them get through the recession. The challenge we have now is how do we get out of this recession? I led this county out of 2 recessions. I want to lead us out of this 3rd recession by focusing on economic development, by focusing on job growth, by making Montgomery County a leader in the innovation economy and making us a startup center for a startup culture center. And we are going backwards in that area right now.
Is there any empirical evidence? I don't know. I don't remember what the county budgets were at the time, and I don't know everything that Ike Leggett has said, but is there some empirical evidence that says what the balance sheet said in the year you left office?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's all in the county budgets and the financial reports done by the county. Montgomery County has never been broke. We are not. We were
What's
not.
Annual
broke.
budget, roughly speaking? What's annual budget now?
I think this year it's probably up to 4.5 billion.
Here is Sean in Gaithersburg, Maryland. Hi, Sean.
Hi, how are you?
Go right ahead, please.
Firstly, if you're concerned that speed cameras are being abused to raise revenue, why wouldn't you take any revenue produced from those cameras out of the general fund and put it specifically towards building new schools?
Doug Duncan?
I'm not sure I understood the question. Why would I take revenue?
Instead of having the revenue from the speed cameras go to the general fund, just have it specifically for education.
Well, it goes to several specific things now. The worry, though, is that the speed camera program in the county, in the district, and other places is becoming taxation by citation versus we want to make our streets safer. And I think if you want to do an end run around raising taxes, that's certainly one way to do it. What we need to do in this county is grow the tax base, grow jobs, lessen the tax burden, and we are backing away from that because we are backing away from our commitment to an innovation economy.
The District of Columbia has put out statistics showing that areas where red light cameras have been, that there has been a dramatic drop in accidents or wrecks. I don't like to call them accidents; they're wrecks. Like 80% drops in some cases where these people have to slow down in the middle of the streets or at intersections. That they can seem to be used. The cameras can be used properly. They do slow down traffic. But when you get a situation where you've got one camera and then 100 yards later you've got another camera and then another one, it's, are they speed traps or are they really focus on public safety? And again, that's what I said. I don't have the answers to that, but I think we need to look at that to make sure, because the public is really starting to believe that this is just a taxation by citation. This is really just a revenue scheme by the county. Chevy Chase on Connecticut Avenue, I think they just announced some surplus of monies and they cited the speed camera.
I think the state had to change the law because they were getting more from their speed cameras than their entire budget.
Let me switch over to a serious subject. In Virginia, Creed Eads has gotten national attention for what happened with him when his mentally ill son, attacked him. He's looking to press for better mental health laws in the state, more funding for the mental health agencies. When you stepped away from public life and cited depression, I think was...
Yes.
Tell us something about that and what you've seen in the meantime and what whether you've ever talked to creedees about what can be done more on a governmental level, where it's a situation where I know it's a personal matter for you to talk about, but I think it would help people to understand that, as Creedee said, this is not, the mind is just part of the body, and we need to address it.
It's mental illness is a horrible situation. Depression is a horrible situation. I was suffering from major depression and pulled out of the race for governor because of that, to get myself healthy again and to connect with my family. And I describe it as the 2 years that I lived in hell, where there was no joy, no hope, just despair all around me. And, sort of gamely put forward myself as county executive and doing my job. But I announced I had to pull out from my health. And what was very gratifying to me at the time was the Mental Health Association told me that within a week of my announcement, they had over 1,000 people call them looking for help and treatment. And this is something that I think more people need to talk about. There still is a stigma attached to mental illness. I think more men in particular need to talk about depression, need to talk about mental illness, and put themselves up as role models. I know Terry Bradshaw, Mike Wallace, there are a lot of people doing that. I think more men need to do that. In terms of government services, I think there's a real training issue that needs to take place. And we want to make sure that our jails don't become the de facto mental hospitals. We want to make sure that as our public safety officers deal with people suffering from mental illness or autism, is a horrible thing happened up in Frederick County, that they know how to deal with that and can prevent loss of life, or injury.
Before we go, have you spoken or have you followed the Creedee story?
I've just followed it through the papers. I mean, a very horrible situation. And someone who's dealt with it personally, but also my family has it. My father, his father, had a history of mental illness. It's something that really strikes close to the heart.
Okay, thank you.
And I know that I called Doug Duncan when a friend of mine was suffering with depression, and he kindly talked with my friend, and it certainly helped. Well, there might have not been hope for those 2 years, but Doug Duncan has a lot of hope now. He hopes to be the next county executive of Montgomery County. He is running for that position that he held from 1994 to 2006. Thank you for joining us. Good luck to you.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. And it's great to be back, and I'm having a lot of fun. I'm back in my element. I love it.
Tom Sherwood is our resident analyst. He's a reporter at NBC4 and a columnist for the current newspapers. Always a pleasure, although he's not going anywhere for the next few minutes. Thank you all for listening. I'm Kojo Nnamdi.
Support for WAMU 88.5 comes from the Washington Ballet, saluting the 50th.